Princess Anne allegedly received a shocking report tied to Meghan Markle's London trip. The palace atmosphere changed from concern to outright panic. What began as a carefully polished anniversary post suddenly exploded into a scandal filled with mysterious photographs, whispered accusations, secret meetings, and a trail of questions that refused to disappear. But here is where the story becomes truly explosive. It was not just the rumors that shook royal circles. It was the possibility that hidden information buried behind smiles and carefully crafted public appearances might finally be surfacing. And according to the whispers surrounding the palace, Princess Anne was not prepared to stay silent. What should have been a harmless social media moment quickly transformed into one of the most talked about royal controversies imaginable. Meghan Markle had reportedly returned from London after a high-profile appearance and appeared eager to showcase a warm and personal anniversary gesture she had received during her travels. To the public, it looked elegant, thoughtful, perfectly timed. Another carefully managed chapter in a public image built around grace and admiration. But behind that polished presentation, another story was allegedly beginning to unfold. The whispers started quietly, almost too quietly. Then they spread everywhere. According to claims that rapidly circulated online, an incident aboard a transatlantic flight became the center of attention. What was initially described as a minor mishap allegedly involved a confidential file being dropped, causing documents and photographs to become visible. Suddenly, social media erupted with speculation. Who was the unidentified man reportedly appearing in those photographs? Why were these images being discussed at all? And perhaps most importantly, why did the timing seem so suspicious? The public reaction was immediate and brutal. Online commentators began connecting dots, building theories, and turning rumors into full-scale narratives. Every photograph became a clue. Every silence became evidence. Every unanswered question became fuel for a growing fire. Within hours, what had started as a private rumor transformed into an international controversy. And then came Princess Anne. According to the storyline circulating among royal watchers, Anne was furious, not merely because of the allegations themselves, but because the royal family was suddenly being dragged into a controversy they supposedly had no connection to. For Anne, reputation has always been everything. Discipline, duty, order, those values have long defined her public image. So when suggestions emerged that palace figures might somehow be involved in covering up private behavior, the situation reportedly crossed a line. Observers claimed Anne moved quickly to distance the monarchy from the growing scandal. Statements allegedly emphasized that any personal matters involving Meghan were entirely separate from royal operations. But behind closed doors, the tension was reportedly becoming impossible to ignore. Questions multiplied. Why had these rumors appeared now? Who benefited from their release? Was someone intentionally targeting Meghan? Or was there genuinely more to the story than anyone realized? As speculation intensified, another dramatic layer emerged. Reports suggested that Prince Harry found himself trapped between two worlds. On one side stood his wife, forcefully rejecting every accusation and insisting she was the victim of a coordinated attack. On the other side stood mounting pressure from royal circles demanding answers. The alleged confrontation that followed became the subject of endless gossip. According to the narrative, emotions exploded behind closed doors. Trust was questioned. Voices were raised. Long-standing frustrations resurfaced. The pressure surrounding the couple reportedly reached levels neither had experienced before. For Harry, every new headline created another crack in an already fragile situation. Yet the mystery refused to disappear. Instead, it grew larger. The unidentified man remained at the center of endless speculation. His identity became the subject of countless theories. Some claimed he was simply an old acquaintance. Others suggested a much deeper connection. Online investigators examined timelines, photographs, travel schedules, and public appearances with obsessive intensity. The more people searched, the more questions appeared. Nothing seemed straightforward. Nothing seemed accidental. Even small details began attracting enormous attention. Why had certain photographs allegedly been kept? Why were specific meetings being discussed? Why did every explanation seem to create new contradictions? For Princess Anne, according to the rumor-filled storyline, these questions were becoming impossible to ignore. And as the pressure increased, so did the determination to uncover whatever truth might be hiding beneath the surface. What allegedly happened next pushed the entire controversy into even darker territory. The rumors were no longer focused only on photographs or private meetings. Suddenly, people began asking whether something much larger was hiding behind the scandal. Every new claim seemed to point toward a bigger mystery. Every denial seemed to create fresh suspicion. And according to the gossip swirling around royal circles, Princess Anne was no longer looking at this as a simple public relations disaster. She was allegedly looking at it as a potential threat to the institution itself. The pressure surrounding Prince Harry reportedly reached a breaking point. Day after day, he found himself caught between competing narratives, conflicting explanations, and relentless media attention. The more he tried to understand what was happening, the more confusing the situation appeared to become. Friends, commentators, and online communities all seemed convinced they already knew the truth, yet nobody could agree on what that truth actually was. That contradiction only intensified the drama. According to the explosive storyline, Harry eventually became determined to get answers for himself. No more public statements, no more media battles, no more carefully worded explanations. If the rumors were false, he wanted proof. If they were true, he wanted proof of that as well. The uncertainty itself had become unbearable. As whispers continued spreading, attention allegedly shifted toward a wealthy and influential figure connected to the mysterious photographs. His name became the center of endless speculation. People claimed he possessed enormous influence across business, media, and elite political circles. Suddenly, what had begun as gossip about relationships evolved into theories about power, influence, and hidden agendas operating behind the scenes. This is where the story became truly explosive. According to the narrative being discussed by royal watchers, investigators allegedly began uncovering connections that raised serious concerns. The claim suggested that private relationships may have intersected with ambitions extending far beyond personal matters. Some theorized that access, influence, and information were the real prizes being pursued. Others believed the entire story was exaggerated beyond recognition. But regardless of which side people believed, one thing became obvious. The controversy was growing faster than anyone could control it. Princess Anne reportedly responded with the same cold determination that has defined her reputation for decades. While others argued, speculated, and panicked, Anne allegedly focused on gathering facts. In gossip circles, she was portrayed as a woman unwilling to tolerate uncertainty when the monarchy's reputation was at stake. Every new revelation reportedly strengthened her belief that decisive action might eventually become unavoidable. Inside royal circles, according to the rumors, conversations became increasingly tense. Senior figures allegedly worried not only about headlines, but also about public confidence. The monarchy survives on perception, trust, stability. Once those foundations begin to crack, even small scandals can become dangerous. And this scandal was no longer small. Then came the moment that supposedly changed everything. The alleged investigation reportedly uncovered information that transformed the narrative from a personal controversy into something viewed as a direct challenge to royal interests. Whether those claims were true or not almost became secondary. The perception itself was enough to trigger alarm. Palace insiders, according to speculation, feared that every passing day allowed the controversy to grow stronger and more damaging. As tensions escalated, discussions reportedly turned toward consequences, serious consequences, the kind of consequences capable of permanently altering relationships that had already been strained for years, the kind of consequences that would dominate headlines around the world. And at the center of it all stood Princess Anne. In the gossip-filled version of events, Anne allegedly became the driving force behind a push for accountability. To supporters, she was protecting the institution. To critics, she was escalating a family conflict into an all-out royal war. Either way, her role dominated every conversation. Meanwhile, Meghan reportedly continued fighting back, rejecting accusations and insisting she was being unfairly targeted. But by then, the public battlefield had already taken on a life of its own. Every statement was dissected. Every appearance was analyzed. Every silence was interpreted as a clue. By the end, the anniversary post that once seemed harmless had become the spark for a firestorm that consumed everything around it. Trust had been questioned. Loyalties had been tested. Relationships had been pushed to their limits. And although countless people claimed to know exactly what happened, the truth remained buried beneath layers of accusations, speculation, and competing narratives. Which is perhaps why this story refuses to disappear. Because long after the headlines fade, one question continues to haunt every version of the tale. Was this merely a scandal built on rumors and misunderstandings, or was it the moment hidden tensions inside one of the world's most famous families finally erupted into the open? The whispers continue. The questions remain. And for many royal watchers, the mystery feels far from over.